Hello! Welcome to what has become the biannual tradition of Hasbean, where we sit down and we pick out our favourite top 10 coffees of the year. Yeah. Last year I decided not to do it with you and go to Costa Rica just to get away from you.
Understandable.
Yeah. This year, unfortunately, that Jen now has my diary and you managed to book the time in my diary, so I was actually here. So what we do, here are the rules of what we do. First of all, we choose our top 10 coffees, so our top 10 favourites. But you're not allowed to choose the same country twice. So that stops us having a list of El Salvadors or a list of Kenyans.
It means I don't just choose 10 Costa Ricans.
It does, because you are a little bit of a Costa Rica hoe. Whereas I would probably choose quite a few El Salvs and Kenyas and... Yeah, that would probably be it. So, that is not to say that these are like not our favourite coffees, because we love all... So, people ask a lot why we have so many coffees on Hasbean, and the problem is I'm really, really bad at having affairs, and I fall in love very easily. So, I can't cheat on my coffees even when I find something new. But we properly love... Even if we don't want to drink it all the time, it will be the best of origin.
Exactly. And these are all coffees that I think that these are important for us. They're ones that we would want to hang our hats on, but that's not to say they are necessarily the ones that we would want to have all the time, because there's so many good coffees we've got.
Yes. We are very, very blessed in said coffee department. What are we drinking now anyway?
This is my number 7, incidentally.
Number 7?
From Nicaragua.
Okay. Right, let's not get... Don't give it away, not yet.
Right.
Not yet. So, we should start with your number 10.
My number 10 is from Sulawesi. It is the Colossi Peaberry. This is... I think we're now into our third year coming now up of having this.
So, current crop or last crop? Because it swapped over in 2016.
It has. I was going to say current crop.
Okay.
I think they're both really good. In fact, what's impressed me most is that they've been super consistent.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do in Indonesia. And when we found something like that, I think we've been really lucky to be able to get that and keep doing that.
So here's a juxtaposition for you. I don't think it even is juxtaposition, but I'm just like the word. So... You like this Colossi, because it's not like Colossis.
I think it's got the best of Colossi. So it's got a big body, it's got chewy, it's a little bit of that tobacco and a little bit of those spicy flavours to it, but it's also clean.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, it's got some acidity.
I think that's the biggest thing for me about it, is its cleanliness. It is. The problem with Indonesians, per se, are that you end up with a little bit of a dirty, dusty kind of, dirty note on there, and this one and the just the A we have, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got the
just
A.
The A. Funnily enough, the AA, which is meant to be the best one, was our least favourite by a long way, and it was actually a reject for us, which is kind of ironic that it's meant to be the best one. But the cupping table never lies, and I think it's a bold choice.
But I think...
I don't think it. Well, I know it wouldn't make my top 10 because I have my top 10 in front of me. But it's actually, for me, it's a great coffee to blend with. Like all of the Indonesians, they give you so many bass notes and just so much kind of.
And this is for me is a phenomenal espresso. Like this is great espresso as I like my espresso, big and thick and chewy, but. Also,
he likes his espresso like he likes his roasters, big and thick. I'm not sure where the chewy fits, but no, bold choice, but good choice, I think. My number 10, I've gone for a coffee that isn't on the site yet, just to be controversial.
You like to cheat, don't you?
I like to cheat, but it is this year, and it will be going on this year.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, will it be going on this year? We're running out of time, but it'll be on early next year when you're watching this anyway. But it's the Yemeni Haraz that we haven't had Yemeni coffee for a long time, and people who know me, which is not many people, but people who do know me, like I have a soft spot for Yemen. It's somewhere I'm desperate to go visit, even while it's being bombed. I nearly went was it earlier on in the year?
Yeah.
Where I got an invite and I got down to the last 6 of 4 people who were going, and it was a USAID project, but because I don't buy enough coffee, they didn't take me. But from all the stories I heard about it, people got bussed in from the airport. Like, you got on the bus on the tarmac, you were police cavalcading through to the hotel and not leaving the hotel till you go back to the airport. So maybe not so much, but I love Yemeni, and this one is purely from the cupping table, but it's just got such a funk to it, but so many positives of what Yemeni coffee can be. It kind of reminds me of a really good Harar. So, like, Harar in North Ethiopia, very famous for their naturals, as are Yemen. And it shares a lot of the properties of that it has a spicy funkiness to it while retaining that super clean, like your Colossi.
And super sweet as well.
And super sweet. I think it's going to shock a lot of people of what Yemeni coffee can be. I have no idea how they got it out of the country. No, I need to have a further conversation with them about this, I think, because...
It's great to see. I'm really glad they've managed to get it out somehow.
Yeah.
And it's good to be able to pay money that's hopefully going to people who need the money, particularly somewhere that is really difficult for that to happen at the moment.
Yeah, we've only got a few bags of it, so it won't be relying for too long, but it's definitely worthy of a mention on here, and it kind of snuck into my top 10 because I was thinking I need something a bit left field, and it's a coffee that I really liked. So, your number 9?
Number 9 is Ethiopia.
Ethiopia, number 9. What kind of crazy man are you?
What a year this has been for coffee. There's some great stuff. And so, push to number 9. My favourite Ethiopian this year has been the washed Chilekatu we had. And you know what? It's just a really classic washed Ethiopian.
Yeah.
And I really like that classic Yochef profile when it's really good.
It's funny because I forget who I was talking to recently, but I was talking to somebody recently who'd had a number of our coffees, and the one that jumped out of them was just Chilekatu. And they were saying to me how they'd had other Chilekatus from other roasters, and it was like they were really disappointed, and like, how did we manage to make it all of a sudden great? And it was like, because it's kind of like saying that you've got some meat. And first of all, it depends how you cook the meat. That's important. But it also depends on the cut of the meat, the animal it comes from. And Chilekatu is a very broad church of flavour, and a very broad church of quality. This was not a massive lot, I seem to remember.
No, this was a 10 bags we had. And, you know, it's one of those ones where we've tasted a lot of Ethiopians this year. And we tried a lot in making our decisions to what we wanted to buy. And
we bought more Ethiopian this year than we have any other year, by a long stick.
And we had some other stuff that was really interesting, but this for me was maybe not the most out there.
Yeah.
It was very as expected, but that's just something I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it sold itself, which is always a telling sign that you lot really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's the thing with it, I think as well with Ethiopians, is they tend to fly out the door. We don't blend so much with them. And that's purely because I think it's a fairly difficult flavour profile to blend with sometimes to get it to glue together. But it flies out a single origin, so it's actually good that we don't, because it lasts a little bit longer. My number 9, we're off to Guatemala. I'm probably off to this farm for the last time this year, which it's almost like a fond farewell to this coffee that we've had since 2007. It's been a staple, and it's El Bosque. El Bosque is suffering from a number of things. So Guatemala, the population is growing fairly rapidly, which means the city is expanding out. This is something I've been talking about and in my mug forever, that Guatemala City is on the outskirts of Amatitlán now. So it's right like on the border of where this farm is. So there's an urban push for the land to be used for houses. Leaf rust has attacked this farm worse than any other farm I've seen in Guatemala. When I visited a couple of years ago, for I think it's about the 4th or 5th time, it was the worst I'd seen the farm. It was in a really poor state. And I've also found out that the brothers some of the brothers are not working in there anymore, and there seems to be a little bit of conflict there. The yield is massively down. The motivation to keep doing what they're doing seems to be down. I'm hoping that we might be able to resurrect something this year, like I really do, but I have I just have this weird feeling that El Bosque is going to disappear. It's a bourbon used by the 2008 World Barista Champion, Like a great coffee, great story, and even this farm's suffering.
Yeah, this is the reality, I guess, isn't that even for a farm that's getting a good price, that's got a route to a good specialty roasters, got a good reputation.
And we bought everything from there.
Yeah.
We decafed a lot of it. We weren't able to decaf it this year because there just wasn't enough.
Even with all that, though, it's still tough.
Yeah, it is.
Still
It's still
challenging.
really, really tough, and it's sad. And it's kind of like talking about having the affairs, and I feel like I'm being dumped. It's kind of sad, but we cross our fingers that it might come back. I kind of hark back to the days of the yellow Bourbon experiment, the red and the yellow Bourbon,
That was really
and
good,
just
wasn't it?
getting somebody to split it up that had never split it up before, and that coffee was phenomenal. It was just that yellow Bourbon was just amazing. Good times, and let's hope that he doesn't disappear. Your number 8?
Number 8, also Guatemala.
Guatemala haters, aren't we?
It's El Limon, which for me has been a really consistently really amazing, interesting farm.
Yeah.
And it's the Pache, and part of it's kind of weird. Now, Pache is not a varietal we see very often.
No.
And it's not got a great reputation.
No.
And it tastes a bit like yogurt.
Yep.
I really like it. And I think it's one of those really interesting ones that just stands out for me as something that is memorable as well as being delicious.
I mean, this is almost like a flip coin from El Bosque. This is like a success story of a farm that was, it has good volume, but didn't have anywhere to sell it to. Started to sell to some other people, then we came across it, and we've been buying lots more. We don't buy everything from there by any stretch of the imagination. There's a fair bit that goes to the US, but Beto is experimenting with varietals, and the Pache is one of the experiments that was underway before I got kind of visited the first time. There's been other ones since then, so we've seen some Pacas planted there, we've seen a lot more Pacamara planted there, we've seen a lot more Bourbon. I think there's some what's it called, one of the hybrid varietals with the Robusta route. So he's doing lots of different stuff there. A great farm, really well run. Beto is the loveliest man in the world. Beto Jr. is the second loveliest man in the world. The loveliest woman in the world is Beto's wife. I haven't met Beto Jr.'s wife, but I'm sure she's lovely too. They're a great family. Very honest, very hardworking, really good people.
Your number 8 then?
Speaking of good people, Roland will be very upset at this, but my number 8 is from Costa Rica, and it is from Finca Arbar, and in particular the Oasis. We have El Manantial still to go on the site, but Oasis was one of our earlier releases from Costa Rica. It is. I'm really excited about, I finished my trip in Costa Rica, my Central America trip in Costa Rica in January, and I know that I'm going to leave with the kind of family's voices ringing in my head as I go. It's a great farm. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they're getting on with the geisha and the Bourbon they've planted and other stuff that they've got going on the farm.
And I think it was my first farm to visit.
So I've got to go back to apologise.
Which is very fair.
I apologised last year to them, but they refused to accept it.
Keep trying.
Yeah, they're just like...
But they are a lovely family with a beautiful farm, really well organised.
Yeah.
They
all had T-shirts with a big circle on it and a line through, and it said glue. No, they are, and the great thing is that we're seeing them develop as a farm. So they're investing in the pulping machines, they're investing in drying beds, they're investing in making the farms look beautiful. This sounds silly, but putting a sign up somewhere and making it feel like it's lived in, for me, shows that you have pride in the farm that you're managing. And when you go on the farm and you see that it's well maintained and clean and tidy, it's another sign. The fences, there's good fences, they've been repaired, they've been looked after. And if you look after those details, then you start to look after the other details. And I just think it's a great farm. It's definitely my favourite Costa Rican, and I have many favourite Costa Ricans. I think of Licho, I can think of Faramee, I can think of La Pira,
Yeah.
I can think of what's the other Terrazoo one, Don Mayo,
Gilio in
Gilio,
Barcero
exactly,
yeah.
and we also did the hoodies from
El Potrero,
Potrero.
the Monte Brizas.
Yeah, like
lots of good
there's
stuff.
heaps of good Costa, but every time if I'm standing there and there's a bunch of Costa Ricans in front of me, I'm gonna reach for our bar. Like it's just my go-to. Yeah. It's just my I know
can't
it's gonna
argue
be
with
good.
that.
Yeah. So you're number 7?
My number 7 is what we're drinking, which is Nicaragua, and it's the San Jose Longbri Pulp Natural, which is
Not been your favourite over past years.
No.
You've hated the Pulp Natural.
I've really been underwhelmed by it. And
No, I think hate was the right word. Like you were.
I don't hate. I don't hate it anymore.
You were bitching about the Pulp Natural for God knows how long.
I think for a long time I didn't feel like it wowed me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a coffee that is quite a premium one for us.
Yeah.
And
Well, the
we had
Longbri is fairly unusual and it's fairly low yielding. So Longbri is like an Ethiopian heirloom that's kind of been, I don't know. It's a very obviously an Ethiopian heirloom because you can tell by the seed, the shape, the everything. But
And Nicaragua it's difficult to compete because Limoncello,
yeah,
Escondida,
Yeah.
they produce some amazing coffees, and we get a lot of different and varied and interesting coffees from them.
Yeah.
Some really unusual stuff.
San
in terms of
Jose as
processing.
well,
Yeah.
and you've also you said Escondido. We've got Milagros. Like there are Nicaragua.
It's so difficult to stand
Mamma Mina.
out. Yeah.
Oh, Mamma Mina. Oof.
Whereas, so for me this year, I wasn't expecting amazing things from the San Jose Longbri because other years I've kind of felt it hasn't wowed me compared to some of the other ones from there. And this year, I tried it and went, wow. There's peaches and tea, and it's a lot more complex and delicate.
Super thick
than I
mouthfeel
expected.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's really thick and gooey and yes, Nicola.
Do you want to check them before we box them up?
So after that short commercial break, I had to go and do something I couldn't get out of it.
Work.
So we finished talking about Nicaraguan San Jose Longbri Pump Natural. Great farm. So San Jose, before we finish, is like the highest of all the farms that we buy from in Nicaragua. And if you talk to Erwin, like he says, the farm that has the best stuff. Yeah. So my number 7, we're going to Ethiopia, and a coffee that he hates. It's great.
I thought this one might be coming.
Yeah. So January this year, I went to Ethiopia and met with a few producers. For the first time ever, I actually met with a couple of producers that are estate owners.
Okay.
Very unusual for Ethiopia. One of them was called Mohammed, and his coffee's great. I've been tasting that in Sweden at Drop. Like it very much. The other one was Israel. Now, I didn't get to meet Israel. I got to meet some people who kind of work with him, and also got to meet the exporter where we cup this coffee. And we're going along, and I think I'd done about 5-6 tables at that point of 12 coffees, and just got to this one bowl and went, and we have an in-joke here where Parma Violets. Like, because I taste Parma Violets in coffee, I do, and I don't care, I do, and if I perceive it, it's true, so you can't mock me for it. But this one wasn't like Parma Violets, it was Parma Violets. It is floral, but it's also a natural, so it's got this really weird concoction of flavours going on, and it's just so unique, and it was just like, I need to buy that coffee. And we bought a lot of it.
We did. And it's a very unusual natural for Ethiopia.
I've never tasted anything in my entire cupping career that's tasted like that from Ethiopia. I think it's a fantastic coffee. It would have been higher up, I think, had the relationship been there longer. Like, it's the first year of it. I don't want to get too excited about it because I don't know what's going to happen next year, whether we're going to get the same kind of lot, whether we're going to find this, another gem in there. My hope is that it will be, and I think it's one that will be in the charts for quite a while and slowly climb up. I'm just being a little bit cautious at the minute because I've been hurt before.
And Ethiopia's like the most difficult of places to do something like that with.
Oh, well, I mean, the only way we could buy this was buying container load of it. I
Yeah.
mean, it was a lot of coffee, and it was fairly bold. But I think it's paid off because it has been popular. It's been flying out. I mean, we don't have so much left now, which for this time of the year is pretty amazing. Like, you would expect us to still be sitting on some, but it's, you know, yeah. No, I'm really impressed with it. I'm really excited to see where it goes as well. I think it's one for the future that will just get better and better.
Yeah, it's a super interesting one. It is one of those ones that I would say to anybody who hasn't tried it, do try it because it is really unique.
Yeah.
Like me, you might not be a fan, but it's an experience.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you're number 6?
My number 6, it's the Maresh family again.
Mm.
So
they get everywhere, don't
Nicaragua,
they?
Yeah, Nicaragua, we go to Honduras. And we see a bit of Honduras come in that we taste, and it's a bit unreliable. Well, yeah.
No, it's a full punches. It's awful.
There's some pretty terrible stuff.
Like, we have cupped some, like, from really reputable importers, you know, who their portfolio is incredibly strong, and we taste it and just go, why?
But the Maresh family work in Honduras now. They've got 2 farms there. There's the Cerro Azul that we've got on the website, which is we've had before and which I really like. It's also got Santa Lucia, and it's the first time we've tried it. Yeah. We had the Natural Funky that was on your Steve's super secret subscription this year.
Very secret.
It's very secret. But wow, that was just delicious.
So I forget who I was talking to recently. I forget who I'm talking to a lot, it seems, but. I was talking to somebody, and Honduras, I reckon, is going to become the 3rd biggest coffee producer in the next 12 months. Yeah. Wow. Colombia is going to drop to 4th place.
Ahead of Colombia, wow.
Yeah. So coffee production in Honduras has been really ramped up, like big time ramped up. I think the biggest problem with Honduran is it's staying fresh. You know, it falls off the edge of a cliff very quickly. That's all to do with drying. I'm convinced of it now, because Irwin's doing nothing different apart from drying it properly, and we're seeing the results of that in these. But they still scare me. I still never want to buy too much of them, so we didn't buy a lot of it. That's why it was a secret stash. We did have a main lot as well, which we had more of. Yeah,
the Cerro Azul's gone. Yeah, and then I mean, we've been using that pretty quickly, and it's sold because it is delicious coffee.
Yeah. Do you have any left?
A little bit.
We should maybe sit on some of that, you know, for a while.
Yeah, we'll maybe save a little bit.
I'd like to cup it in like 3 months' time. And just
we'll stash a little bit away.
Because it just proves that theory that I think it is all about how you store it and
how you look after it.
Yeah. So my number 6, we're off to Colombia, and Pedro Claros, Blacheria. A farm that we just continue to build the relationship on. Yeah. I didn't go this year for the first time in a long time, and I feel a bit bad. But luckily we just sent them more money. But we've just signed a contract for next year to agree to buy more of the coffee. Yeah. So hopefully what we're going to be able to do is have enough to have some decaf as well. And I think this coffee will be amazing decaf. Yeah. I think it'll be really good. But it's just, I don't know, it's just a good news story that we have a coffee that, we started buying a little bit of, then we started to buy more of, then we had a contract to buy different grades of quality and pay more for the higher lots. We still have that in place, but now we have a quantity agreement because there's a trust there between both of us, that I know they're going to produce the quality, they know we're going to pay, and I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful coffee. Like, Pitalito is, for me, the centre of Colombian coffee production. Everything else I taste from Tolima and from different areas, I'm kind of going, tank quite quila, you know, like there's just something about Pitalito that really hits my taste profile, and a lovely family again. It's nice to work with nice people.
We do like nice people.
We do, and I'm definitely going back to Colombia this year. Definitely going to go and see Pedro and the family again because it's been too long.
Yeah,
good coffee.
Yeah, mine number 5 is also from Colombia. I'm from a little farm by a guy called Pedro Claros. Yeah, honestly, I don't think there's any competition for me. I love this coffee. I talked to a brewer. I spend a lot of time enjoying my beer, and one of the brewers, the brewer in Estonia, Pakala, he said, I'd really like to do something with a kind of Kenyan type of coffee, maybe. So we sent him some Kenyans, and I snuck in this coffee along with it. And he tried it and went, "You're right, that Colombian."
Yeah.
Yep. And that for me, when a Colombian coffee can stand up against those kind of Kenyan coffees,
Yeah.
that's a real statement.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a special coffee, and having those access to those special micro lots that we're picking out. So we're cupping every day's pickings and choosing. That's an 86 that can go in the estate. That's a 90 that can go as a micro lot, and then the micro lots are getting more money because they're better coffees. We're making the better coffee better because we're taking them out. We're keeping the estate grade at a high quality.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like that feedback loop of constantly feeding back. This is good. This isn't. Is helping Pedro to produce better coffee, and he can see where coffees we're rejecting. We were rejecting around about 15%. I think we're down to around about 8-9% now, and that's on a downward every year. That is coming down, not because we're getting less picky, but he's getting better at producing, and it's a fantastic good news story. Another good news story is my next one, number 5. I'm off to Bolivia. I think this is the lowest Bolivia's been.
I was wondering why Bolivia's that far down, to be honest.
I think I'm spoilt with Bolivia because we have so many great Bolivians. You just go, oh, another great Bolivian. And there have been, like, my top 4, it was hard. Like, it was super hard. So it just, I don't know, it just kind of slipped down. And it's also that Bolivia seems such a long time ago now. Like, because Bolivia's, we're January, February, and we're in December now, and they're not so fresh. You're like, ask me this in, a couple of months' time, I'll probably be all over Bolivia again. But Vincent Paye, Vicente is a very, very smallholder producer who has ripped out all of his old plant stock, built a nursery and replanted the whole of the farm. Has got one last little bit to replace once these other plants come back on stream. He's not producing a lot, but what he is producing, that's his family's income. It's a real coffee grower. It's not an estate owner that everybody goes and does the picking for him and he sits in his big house. This is a real coffee farmer doing real things, and I'm a huge fan.
That.
Yeah, I love what Vincent is doing, and love working with him. Great guy, really great guy. And every time I go, the family are just warm a little bit more. Because the trust, it's a trust thing, and this is like we've already bought this year, so this is the 4th year that's floated on its way to us now. 4 years of working with somebody, you manage to build that strong relationship.
And also, we're saying like we don't commit at the early stage.
Yeah.
We're not saying we're going to buy whatever here. We're seeing samples without knowing what they are.
Yeah.
And we'll always find it and go, that's really nice. What's that?
Super sweet as well.
Vincent.
It's just beautifully sweet, and then again, mouthfeel. You know how texture driven I am on the cupping table, and the texture of this coffee just hits you. You can't help but know what it is when you cup it. And it's a mixture of good farming, good plant husbandry, and new plant tissue. And it's just a great concoction of things coming together.
Excellent.
So that's my number 5. Your number 4?
My number 4 is from El Salvador.
El Salvador, number 4. Are you some kind of crazy man?
Why has it got that high? I know. I love El Salvador, but it's sometimes for me. Mm-hmm. I don't end up pushing it that high because there's so many other places I love that little bit more.
Yeah.
And this is also a farm that I've in the past not really loved that much. Mm-hmm. After the San Jose, this is one that's really, like, it's showing its pedigree, I think, for me this year, and I kind of lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
This is Los Brumas, and it's the SL28. Just gone on the website. It is... there's not many coffees I've had this year where I came across a cupping table and just stopped and went, wow. Like, in my tracks, I have no idea what this coffee is, but I want to drink a lot more of it. It's just a great mix of some of those fruity qualities that you associate with the varietal.
Yeah.
But like the sweetness, the depth, the body that you get from El Salvador, and just a really beautiful blend of those flavours.
So my business partner in Sweden, Joanna, she is the harshest cupper. Like, she will rip a cupping table apart. Like, I rarely see her score her own coffee over 86. Like, I think the highest I've seen is like an 88. And I'm like, geez, this is great coffee. What's wrong with you? Cupping table in El Salvador at Ernesto's house, she dropped to 93. I was just like, what? What? It is a great coffee. So the SL28 is grown in the... So Los Brumas is 20 hectares, I think, of coffee. And then there's about like another 30 hectares of forest. It might be 38, I can't remember. It's a big part of forest anyway. And Ernesto can't... Well, he could rip out the trees, but he doesn't want to because it would cause all sorts of problems. So he wanted to find a way of making that ground usable. So he got the farm 6 years ago and planted SL28 then. This is the first harvest from it because there's no sunlight in there. It's all tree canopy.
So, for context, in most farms, it'd be like 3 years from...
In some places
out
2. Yeah, you'll get something after 2. And this is the first. It really shouldn't be growing there. And nor should SL28 be growing there either. No. Ernesto is just doing great things on this farm. Like, crazy things. Like, you look at him and like, you're not right, are you? Like, that's never going to make you any money, but it makes him happy. And it is... I mean, it is a good coffee. It really is. My El Salvador choice, which hasn't come yet, was a toss-up between the one I've chosen and that one. It's a good choice. So my number 4 is also from El Salvador, also from Ernesto. Oh no, it isn't. No, it isn't. I'm going off my other numbers. Oh, I've give it away there, haven't I? My number 4 is from Nicaragua.
Yes,
from the Maresh family. This was the exclusive, as all God knows, so you can't have none. I took this home 3 times. It was a Yellow Pacamara Funky. Funky is the process where it's a little bit thicker, it's a little bit more fermented, it's a little bit more boozy, it's a little bit more mental. I love Limoncillo anyway. I've had a love affair with this farm since 2007 and continue to now. I'm going there in January as well. I can't wait to go back because I haven't been there for 2 years and it feels way too long. But Nicaragua, it arrived a little late this year and it meant that it caused us a bit of pressure because we ran out of nicks for a little while and but when they came back it was just like wow. And the Yellow Pacamara was just so different. It was bruised banana and funky and just...
And I reckon it's really benefited. It's one of those ones, it's our third year now on 2 of production.
Yeah.
And those very first ones, I think you could taste that the plants were still a bit young.
Yeah.
It was a little harsh, I felt. And this year it gets better and better. Yeah. And I think it's really hit its stride.
Tiny one bag lot though. I mean, the tiniest, and that's why it had to be an exclusive because we just didn't have much of it. But really one of my highlights. Really one of my highlights for this year.
Well deserved that.
Your number 3?
Number 3, Bolivia, and it's La Linda.
Yeah.
Which is a farm that we had for the first time this year, owned by our exporters,
Pedro Rodriguez, and Daniela. And also Pedro Pablo.
Yeah, and they've got different lots there. They had some Longbury, which was really interesting and a really good coffee.
Yeah.
But it was the Red Caturra, and it's actually the one that we had the most of.
Yeah.
But for me, it was just such a classic Bolivian.
Yeah.
It had the fruit, and it had that wonderful depth of sweetness and body that you only really get with Bolivia. It reminded me of all the things that made me smile and excited about Bolivia every time it arrives.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you with that one. I love La Linda. I also love Don Carlos.
Yeah.
My three Bolivians have been Vincent Pay, Don Carlos, and La Linda. The Red Caturra was fantastic. The geisha from there was, whoosh, so good. And I'm not a geisha fan.
There is some good stuff coming.
Yeah, there is. And this is from the new crop that hasn't arrived with us yet. In fact, it should be with us, I think, next week.
Very soon.
So, no, good stuff. My number 3, we're off to Brazil. I noticed you're not going to Brazil this year.
I'm not.
Been in my top 3 for the past 13 years, so why would it not be there?
Yeah.
Brazil Fazenda Cachoeira Pub Natural Yellow Bourbon. Consistently good, consistently amazing. Like every year, you know exactly what you're going to get. Like, I mean, before we cupped it, I think we'd written the cupping notes.
Yeah.
We know what we're going to get from Gabrielle. It's just a model farm for producing consistent quality, such good value, blends beautifully, like has everything that you want as a coffee roaster. Great espresso, that whole milk chocolate, nutty kind of walnut and whole nutty kind of deliciousness. So excited that's part of the selection box.
Yeah.
Great coffee, great coffee.
Excellent, easy win there.
Yeah, 3 for you. Oh no, you've done 3. 2 for you.
Number 2, Kenya. And
What kind of craziness is that, number 2 for Kenya? You've just got back from Kenya. You should be in love with the place.
I'm sorry it's so low, Kenya.
Yeah.
I've got back from Kenya, and there is a reality that once you've been to these places, it's very hard not to love them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you love all the coffees, because you've always been to these places.
Yeah.
And
Never been to Yemen.
love that one anyway. Will do. And Kenya, yeah. There was 3 coffees that we bought from there. The Kiriga, the Kieni and the Athaya.
All different. Bought the AAs and the ABs of 2 of them as well,
Yeah.
which was very good just to show the differences of the grades. And I don't think it necessarily went with the grades for which ones were best.
And I could have chosen any of these really, because I've enjoyed all of them. I've drunk a lot of all of them, and as visiting them, I loved all of them. And
Again, uniquely different as well.
Yeah.
Uniquely different farms.
different and great, but
Or
so
factories,
Kieni.
farms.
So Kieni's a cooperative. It's the one that's going to win for me. The double A.
Nieri. Yeah.
It's a great classic Kenyan. There's a little bit of complexity to it. So you get the blackcurrant, but you also get a marmalade kind of thing for me that I've really, really loved. And it's got that sweetness, it's got the acidity together. For me, that's really classic Kenyan. Combined with having visited there, it's full of, it's a cooperative of, what's it, 14?
1,000.
Yeah,
Yeah,
1,000,
no, I think
over
it's
1,000
1,000.
people.
Yeah, just over 1,000.
And
Active.
there's a really positive feel to it. Yeah, the number of people who just came up to us and said, "How are you doing? Hi,
Yeah,
we're
I
just there
had all the
delivering
kids come and
cherries."
steal all my sweets.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
good. No, Kieni is I mean, the thing I liked most about that whole thing was Kieni. By far, we're paying the people delivering the cherry the most money, but because of that, they were demanding more from them. So they were like, "No, go and hand sort that. Bring it back once you've hand sorted it." Really pushing for quality,
And,
and that
there
was
was some really nice innovations. So we saw that they'd got a machine for printing out the amount of cherry that a farmer delivered, so they could see how much they were delivering and how much it was getting scored. They were actually helping the farmers do a better job and get paid better.
They've got a running total of how much they've delivered so far that season. No, it was very, very good. And the chairman and the factory manager were both super open, willing to answer anything, even Roland's stupid questions. No, I think that's a smart choice. My number 2, I'm off to Kenya, but I'm not off to Kieni, I'm afraid. I'm off to Kiriga.
That's
I'm sorry.
understandable.
The Kiriga double A for me it has been my height. This was the toughest of toughest choices. The Kiriga is everything I want a Kenyan to be. So it's got that blackcurrant profile. It's got the fruitiness in there. But the double A had this weird tropical fruit stuff going on that I couldn't get past. Like, I taste the blackcurrant, I get it, and I taste a little bit of the kind of the red wininess. It's almost like it's encompassed every part of Kenyan that I enjoy. Brian is... I'll go back and watch In My Mug from, like... 423, I think it is, or 422. Like, he's just such a dude. He's such a dude.
He's very cool.
Yeah, and he runs a great farm that I know can get better.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing with Brian, is that I don't think he's getting the best out of his farm at the minute. I think he's doing really well with it, but I think with just some small changes, he can make that place, like, phenomenal. Kenya's... the whole thing about going to Kenya 3 years ago to try and fix the relationships, I feel has been a complete success. and just shows how awesome I am. No, like purely luck, but like, and with a lot of help from people like Jim, who you met on the trip, and a lot of help from KCCE, the exporter, a lot of help from Schluters, who have been importing for us, and just a lot of hard work with 3 very different individuals or cooperatives have managed to make our Kenyans so diverse, and you could have chosen any of them. The Athaya Natural, I think, is pretty stunning too, and again can only get better. You're number 1. Take it away, Roland Blue. Hang on.
Number 1, Costa Rica. I don't think anybody who's
I went to Costa Rica and Kenya.
Anyone who's listened to my social media or talked to me at some point probably realises Costa Rica is likely to be number 1 for me.
Yeah.
I've always loved their coffees.
Yeah.
I loved it even more since I've been there. And they're so difficult to choose, as we've already talked about. There's lots and lots of good stuff there. And I thought, actually, I'm going to choose one of the new ones for me. Because there's been a few new ones this year. We had the geisha, the Ethiopia cross, the Santa Teresa.
Yeah.
I think that's been... As somebody who doesn't like geishas usually, I find them a bit too floral.
It's amazing.
I think it's stunning.
Also part of the selection pack as well, which is good. It's and that's what made it really expensive.
Yeah, and that's nearly sold out now.
Yeah.
There was like 69 kilos of that, and that's nearly gone.
Yeah, a big chunk of it in the selection box. I've just been downstairs and looked at them all everywhere. Yeah, but, no, it's a good choice.
But actually, that's not the one I'm going to choose.
Oh.
Number 1 is going to Sumavar Montiano Benito.
Oh, you're just sucking up, aren't you? Yeah. I met Francisco and he's my friend.
I'm not just sucking
I went for beers
also,
with him at the Sun in Stafford.
This is one that we bought a lot of.
Yeah.
And as much as I loved the Santa Teresa, it's there for a little bit. It's exciting, it's different, it's interesting. The Montiano Benito I've been drinking since it first arrived.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying it since it first arrived. I'm going to be drinking it for a little bit yet because we bought a lot of it. And it's just really, really good.
I think the big thing with I can't even pronounce it, the Benito, I'm going to call it Benito, it's easier, is that it's nowhere near its potential yet.
Yeah.
So I went last January, and you can see the work going in there, and it's phenomenal work. Like, this is a farm that is going to be a machine. Like, it is so process driven, but nowhere near its potential yet.
And as with, we talked about La Linda and Bolivia earlier, where you've got an exporter owning a farm.
Yeah.
They're coming in with these ideas of, I know what the people who are buying the coffee want. I know what I can do. I've got all these interesting ideas.
You can also cup, which I think is critical. Like, and my number 1 is another guy who cups everything that he does, and I think that makes the difference.
They are a super, super good cupping team there.
Yeah.
And I think that really shows. I've loved that coffee, and I think it's been really great.
Yeah, no, good choice. I kind of like, I'd gone for our bar because like it's my go-to, but I think for best new, like every one of the Israel actually is probably second best, like new, but like it's right up there, and I do think it's a worthy choice for sure. My number 1, I've gone for Ernesto Mendez, that I nearly gave away as number 4 because it was just the order they were written down. But Ernesto Mendez, I think this is about the 3rd year I've done it as my number 1 again. El Salvador, I could have a top 10 of El Salvador, I think. A notable mention, I think Argentina was freaking amazing this year, even though it was so like the San Jorge was like so good. But like that, the honourable mention for that. I think also, we look at San Jose, phenomenal. I really love Los Brumas. I think that what's happened there. Coffee we never got, but we brought in was the Los Andes that went to drop, which was phenomenal from Ernesto.
El Salvador's produced a lot of really good stuff, even stuff that we might not to share with you because it's gone to other people.
Really good. But like La Lujon is my consistent go-to, amazing coffee, never lets me down, always exactly what I expected it to be. It's delicious. Like, the farm is just a freak. It's as high up Santana as you can go. Across the road is the National Forest. Like, it just has everything. It has bourbon trees that just produce delicious coffee. I was really pleased to go there this year because I haven't been for a couple of years because there's been It's a little unsettled in El Salvador, and particularly on Santa Ana. Like with the 2 times we've been up there in the last couple of years, I've had to take armed guards with me. It's not a safe place to be. But the coffee cherries don't seem to care. They just keep being delicious.
Keep going.
And La Lujon, like, anybody says what's Hasbean about, try La Lujon. Drink that. And like that's, you know, and the same with Cachoeira, and the same with Carriga, and the same with you know, so, like everything that we've mentioned. Like these are just, yeah,
They're part of our DNA, aren't they?
yeah. And Ernesto, like, brother from a different mother and different country and different continent. But I love Ernesto, and yeah, he knows it as well. That's why he charges us so much. But yeah, so that's our top 10. So we should have a rundown. 10 for me, Yemen. 9, Guatemala. 8, Guatemala El Bosque, sorry. 8, Costa Rica Arbar Oasis. 7, Israel, which is the Anasaurus. Yeah, thank you for that, Roland. Number 6, Colombia La Chorrera. Number 5, Vincent Paye. Number 4 was Nicaraguan Pacamara Yellow Funky, nearly did it again. Number 3, Fazenda Cachoeira from Brazil. Number 2, Kenya Carriga AA, and number 1 El Salvador La Lujon Bourbon washed.
Very good lineup. And my number 10 was the Colossi Peabury in Sulawesi. Then the Chaleca 2 washed at number 9. 8, the El Limon Pache. 7, the Nicaraguan San Jose Longbury Pulp Natural, longest name we got. 6, the Honduras Santa Lucia Natural Funky.
I know that's longer.
That's pretty long. Where are we up to? 5, La Correra, yes. 4, El Salvador Las Brumas SL28. 3, the Bolivia La Linda Red Coutura. 2, the Kenya Kieni AA. And number 1, Costa Rica Montellano Benito.
Oh, so close. No, thank you for joining. Can you please get out my office now? This is where I live, by the way. I just live in here. No, thank you for watching.
2017's delicious coffees.
Yeah, you know, 2016 has been such a horrible year for many things. It's made me very, very sad, 2016, when you look at the whole situation in the world. Yeah. But for coffee, we've done all right.
We've done pretty delicious.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye.